Look, let me paint a picture and tell me if this sounds familiar. You're in your early 30s or 40s. You did what you were told, you went to school, you got a decent job. You avoided the really stupid money mistakes. And on paper, you're doing fine. You make good money, maybe 6 figures. You've got some money invested, maybe a little equity in your house. But somehow, it still feels tight. Every month you're thinking, how am I making this much and still stressing about money? You're not flying private jets. You're not buying Lambos. You're just living. And that's the scary part, because here's the thing. Most people still think that if they could just get to $1 million, everything would finally relax. Like, once I hit $1 million, I've made it. Once I hit $1 million, I'm rich. Once I hit $1 million, money stress is over. No. And today I want to show you very clearly why the math proves that $1 million isn't rich anymore. And more importantly, what actually matters now if you don't want to be stuck on this treadmill forever. Because here's what most people don't realize. $1 million doesn't buy what it used to, but your brain is still stuck in the past. My name is Tom, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, wealth, and how regular people actually build financial security in real life. If you're someone who works hard, makes decent money, but still feels like you're one bad year away from stress, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Alright, let's talk about the $1 million myth, because psychologically $1 million still sounds insane. Say millionaire and your brain immediately jumps to yachts, mansions, and not worrying about prices at restaurants. But that image is from like 1995. Here's the first uncomfortable stat. Adjusted for inflation, $1 million in 1990 is equivalent to about $2.3 million today. So when boomers talk about making it with $1 million, what they really mean is over $2 million in today's money. And that's just inflation, not lifestyle creep, not housing, not healthcare, not college costs, just inflation. Now, let's talk about what $1 million actually does for you in real life. Let's say you have $1 million invested, fully invested, not sitting in cash. You follow the classic financial advice and pull 4% per year. That gives you $40,000 per year before taxes. Before taxes. In the United States, that's not rich. That's barely middle class in most metro areas. The median household income in the US is around $75,000. In cities like San Francisco, New York, Boston, Seattle, $40,000 is borderline survival. And this is where people start arguing. Tom, but you wouldn't retire on $1 million. You'd still work. Okay, fine. Let's play that out. Let's say $1 million is just your safety net, your I'm comfortable number. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Let's break down expenses. Housing alone has completely changed the game. The median home price in the US is hovering around $420,000. In major metro areas, it's $700,000, $900,000, or more. A paid-off home used to be the cornerstone of feeling rich, but today, even if you own the house, you're still paying property taxes, insurance, maintenance, HOAs, utilities. On a $700,000 home, it's not unusual to spend $15,000, $25,000 per year just to exist in it. That alone eats up more than half of that safe $40,000 withdrawal. Now add healthcare. This one is sneaky because people massively underestimate it. A couple retiring before Medicare age can easily spend $20,000, $30,000 per year on premiums, deductibles, and out-of-pocket costs. Even with Medicare, long-term averages are around $300,000, $400,000 per person over retirement. So if you're thinking, I'll just retire at 55 with $1 million, the math starts breaking immediately. And this is where psychology kicks in, because your brain does this thing where it anchors to a number. $1 million feels like a finish line, but money doesn't care how you feel about numbers. Money only cares about cash flow. Let me say that again. Wealth is not a number. Wealth is cash flow plus flexibility. Here's a simple analogy. Having $1 million with high expenses is like owning a fancy car with terrible gas mileage. Looks great. Feels impressive, but every mile costs you. Now let's talk about lifestyle creep, because this is the silent killer. No one wakes up and says, I want to inflate my lifestyle. It just happens. You move to a nicer area for the schools. You upgrade the car for safety. You spend more on convenience because you're tired. Each decision makes sense. Collectively, they lock you into a cost structure that $1 million cannot support long term. Here's what most people don't realize. The moment you feel rich is usually the moment you become financially fragile, because higher income leads to higher fixed costs, and fixed costs are the enemy of freedom. Now you might be thinking, okay Tom, but what about investing returns? returns? What about growth? Good question. Historically, the stock market returns about 7% after inflation over long periods. Sounds great, but here's the issue. Sequence of returns risk. If the market drops early in retirement, withdrawals hurt way more. A bad first 5 years can permanently damage a $1 million portfolio. That's why people who actually understand this math don't talk about being millionaires. They talk about runway. How many years of life can my assets buy without stress? And for most people today, $1 million buys uncertainty. Which brings us to the real problem. The problem isn't that $1 million is useless. The problem is that people aim for it thinking it's the end. It's not. It's the beginning. In part 2, I'm going to show you what rich actually looks like in today's dollars, why net worth is the wrong metric to obsess over, the real number that replaces $1 million, and the exact steps you can take right now to escape the illusion and build actual financial security. Because once you understand this, your entire approach to money changes. All right, let's get into the part that actually matters, because if $1 million isn't rich anymore, the obvious question is, then what is? And the answer might annoy you at first, because there isn't a single number, there's a structure. Here's what most people don't realize. Two people can both have a $1 million net worth, and one can feel completely stressed while the other feels financially free. The difference is not the amount, it's how the money behaves. Let me explain. Imagine person A, they have $1 million tied up like this. $600K in home equity, $250K in retirement accounts, $100K in brokerage, $50K in cash. Looks solid, right? But their monthly expenses are $7,000. Mortgage, taxes, childcare, insurance, cars, subscriptions, the usual stuff. Now, imagine person B. They also have $1 million, but it's structured differently. $700K invested, $200K paid off housing, $100K cash, and their monthly expenses are $500. Same net worth, completely different life. Person B has options, person A has obligations. This is why obsessing over net worth screenshots on social media is pointless. Cash flow beats net worth every time. Now let's talk about the real rich number. For most US households today, financial independence usually shows up somewhere between 25 to 30 times annual expenses, not income. Expenses. If you spend $60,000 per year, that's roughly $1.8 million invested. If you spend $100,000 per year, now you're talking $2.53 million. And that's not luxury, that's comfort, that's margin, that's being able to say no. This is where it gets really interesting, because lowering your expenses by $1 doesn't just save you $1, it saves you $25, $30 in required wealth. Cut $10,000 from annual spending, you just reduced your freedom number by $250,000. This is why frugality works, but only when it's strategic, not deprivation, not misery, just eliminating dumb, low-value spending. Now let's talk about psychology again. Humans are terrible at understanding exponential growth. That's why people feel behind even when they're doing well. Here's a stat that might surprise you. The median net worth for Americans under 40 is under $100,000. Under 50, still under $300,000. So if you're watching this with investments, savings, and a plan, you're not behind. You're just comparing yourself to unrealistic benchmarks. And that comparison fuels bad decisions. Overworking, overspending, risking too much too late. Here's the shift I want you to make. Stop asking, how do I get rich? Start asking, how do I build flexibility? Flexibility means low fixed costs, multiple income streams, investments that compound quietly, time leverage. Because here's the secret no one markets. Most people don't want to be rich. They want to feel safe. They want to stop worrying about emergencies. They want breathing room. They want control over their time. That doesn't require $10 million, but it also doesn't come from chasing a single number like $1 million. So what do you actually do? Let me give you actionable steps. First, audit your fixed costs, not your lattes, not your vacations, your fixed costs. Housing, cars, insurance, subscriptions, anything that shows up every month and doesn't care how motivated you feel. Lower those and everything else gets easier. Second, focus on invested assets, not net worth. Home equity feels good. It does nothing for cash flow. Track what actually produces future income. Third, stop inflating your lifestyle with every raise. This one is huge. Every raise should buy you freedom first, upgrade second. Fourth, build optional income, side income, skills, ownership. Not because hustle culture is cool, but because income flexibility reduces anxiety more than any portfolio number. And finally, understand this. You are not failing because $1 million doesn't feel like enough. You're waking up to reality. The rules changed. The goal now is not be a millionaire. The goal is to build a life where money stops being the main character. If this video helped reframe how you think about wealth, hit the like button, subscribe for more honest money conversations, and share this with someone who still thinks $1 million is the finish line, because the math doesn't lie, and once you see it, you can't unsee it.